looked at my friends with the most silly and detached look I could muster. They were choking back tears. I had to comfort them while thinking about how ECI my head was from the stupid bandage. But I have no other choice. I had brought myself to a dead end, and my only option was to choose the blue pill instead of the red pill to create my own matrix and live in it. Yes, I'm not as brave as Neo, but my circumstances are worse. Hi, my name is Stella, and I want to tell you all about the failures that make me pretend to have amnesia. It all started when I finally decided to do it on Valentine's Day. It's easier to conquer Everest when a duel with Baltimore, and even when the trophy and the tribals return moment than confessing my love to a guy. Oh, I've had a crush on Chris for a year, but he only sees me as a friend who he can go bowling with or chill with while watching TV shows. But I wasn't okay with that at all, because just looking at Chris, my knees would start to shake and my palms would sweat. All I could think about is how great our dates would be. After he kissed me goodbye on the cheek once instead of a hug, I decided that was the signal. I signed a Christmas Valentine's card and put it in his mailbox. The excitement kept me up all night. I imagined us holding hands in school and then even standing at the altar and vowing to love each other forever. But I was in for a real bummer. No, it was a disaster. A brick falling on my head would have been less painful than Chris's words. Stella, I'm sorry, but I only see you as a friend. I think Chris was sorry that I tricked you. I was saving myself as best I could. You did. He was clearly surprised. Of course, I thought I was lying pretty convincingly, but at that moment my face looked like a juicy tomato, and Chris knew I was lying, but he couldn't say anything else. He just avoided me for a few days because he must have been very uncomfortable to be around. I didn't cry over Hachiko the way I wept over my unrequited love. I was very sad without Chris and his stupid jokes. My best friend Bree noticed that I wasn't myself. She invited me to a party at a classmate's house. Come on, you need to get out and have some fun. Bree hugged me and smiled. I don't feel like it. I won't take no for an answer. I'll pick you up at 8. That same night, Bree and I were dancing and partying our hearts out, but my good mood faded away the second I saw Chris slow dancing with some girl. What the hell is that? Jealousy struck me like a bolt of lightning, and it made me completely lose my mind. The only thought that pulsed in my head was destroyed. I wondered for some time, how could I make that chick run away from the party in tears? I decided that the easiest way would be to get her clothes dirty. I grabbed a glass of punch, walked towards the girl, but someone accidentally bumped into me, and the next second I was face down in the cake. Oh no, my cake, my masterpiece! There was a hysterical scream. As it turned out, it was my classmate's sister who had been working on this cake for 5 hours, and now she was screaming and crying. All eyes were on her and my messed up face. Well, it's not a big deal. It's not a disaster. It's not the end of the world. I caught Chris's surprised look. He never wanted to go out with me after that. Okay, don't panic. I'm gonna walk out of this party like a proud girl, and everything will be fine. But it wasn't. I managed to trip and fall over the garland. Only Chris and Bree came running up to me, and the rest of them stood there laughing. Oh no, I was the embarrassment of the evening. Everyone will remember the idiot Stella for the rest of their lives who fell face first into the cake and tripped over the garland. They'll tell their children and their grandchildren. I couldn't stand the embarrassment, so I ran home hoping that everyone would forget about it over the weekend. But no, at school they pointed fingers at me. They laughed and made fun of me. Someone even jokingly threw a brownie in my face. I had to eat lunch in the school hallway. Stella, don't pay attention to those jerks. Don't forget, as soon as someone else screws up, really assured me, no one can beat this embarrassment of the century. Just think about Stinky Bob and try to remember why they started calling him that. That was only a month ago. What am I supposed to do? Put up with this nightmare for a month? I even dropped my sandwich. I didn't like my friend's attitude, so I decided not to wait. I was going to prank or set somebody up so the stigma of being a loser would go to that person. I went to Bree for help, but she turned me down, saying that I was acting like a child. Oh, is that so? She must have forgotten how she didn't make it to the bathroom in 5th grade, and then she spent the week pretending to be sick so she wouldn't have to go to school. No one even noticed except for me that it happened to her. I covered for her then, and now she refuses to do the same. same. Well then, I don't even have to look for a prank victim. I made a deal with this nerd that he would kiss Bree in front of everyone. Trust me, even sitting next to him is embarrassing, and if he kisses someone, no one will ever forget it. I paid him $50 and he caught Bree in front of all of her classmates, kissed her, and said, "Well, how much longer can we hide our love?" Honey, Bree felt so ashamed that she immediately ran out of the classroom to the loud laughter of her classmates. I was instantly forgotten as they turned her attention to Bree and the nerd. She didn't understand how he could do such a thing, and then the nerd must have ratted me out and told her everything. "What did I ever do to you, Stella?" Why was Bree wiping away her tears? It wasn't until that moment that I realized how mean I've been to my best friend. I apologized to her over and over again, but Bree didn't want to hear it, and that's how I lost my other friend. Neither Chris nor Bree ever texted me or invited me anywhere, so I had to hang out at school during the day and in my room at night. I was also terribly sad about everything that had happened. Even Joffrey from Game of Thrones wasn't as nasty compared to me. I had to get back my friend somehow, but Chris is afraid of my feelings and doesn't want me to know. I thought long and hard about what to do, and then my most brilliant idea popped into my head. Why don't I pretend I've lost my memory so that I would be free from all my problems? My friends would feel sorry for me and start hanging out with me again. I had to skip a few days of school to realize the idea, and then showed up to class with a bandage on my head. "Stella, what happened to you?" Chris came up to me right away. "What happened to your head?" Then Bree didn't stay away either. "Who are you?" I played dumb. All I remember is something heavy falling on my head. Chris and Bree looked at each other and they hugged me. They didn't seem to understand. Now that we were back to the beginning of my story, they were very upset and couldn't hold back their tears. I was just dreaming of finally removing the bandage so I could scratch my head properly. "Will it help you get your memory back?" Chris said, and then gave me a big, tight hug. And then I felt even more in love with him. First, we went to the arcade where we used to hang out with Chris and play air hockey, but I pretended that I didn't remember what the game was and started throwing the puck around like a frisbee. This led to hitting Chris right in the face. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to run up to him. It's okay. I'll teach you how to play." He was so attentive to me and caring. I couldn't help but admire him. And then I decided to kiss him. "What are you doing?" Chris was amazed. "I'm sorry, I thought you and I were a couple." I pretended to be terribly embarrassed and sad. "No, we've always been friends, but it's not a big deal. Don't worry." Chris hugged me, and then Bree joined us. She took me to this place on the beach where we used to sit and share secrets with each other. She was so hopeful that I would remember everything, so I adamantly pretended I didn't understand. Then Chris and Bree teamed up and started showing me pictures and telling me what happened on this or that day. "Stella, do you at least remember your last birthday? We brought a pony to your house as a joke." Bree asked if the ponies were cool, but I don't remember anything. Bree suddenly cried, and Chris looked at me regretfully. Meanwhile at school, the haters left me, and even Bree alone. After all, I had outdone all my failures over the past year with my amnesia. It was even good for my grades. The teachers were giving me good grades out of pity. Life was like a fairy tale. My friends were there for me, my classmates forgot all about me, and I was able to straighten out all my bad grades. And everything would have been fine if my homeroom teacher hadn't contacted my parents to make sure I wasn't having a hard time at school. And that's how they found out about my pseudo-amnesia. And when I went home with Chris and Bree, they made a huge scene because they couldn't stand any lights. "You lied to us." Bree took 2 steps away from Stella. "How could you?" Chris shook his head in disappointment. "Why would you start lying to everyone?" My parents got involved in the argument. I got dizzy. I was so full of lies. I didn't know how to get out of it. "I'm sorry," I cried out, and I covered my face with my hands. "I lost you, Chris, and then I lost you, Bree. All of it was because of my own stupidity. I was so sick and lonely that I decided to lie. I thought it was the only way I could get you back, and it worked. You forgave me for everything." "Stella, I wasn't mad at you. I just needed time to think it over," said Chris. "I would have forgiven you." Anyway, Bree added, "But now I don't even know how to communicate with you. Please don't be mad at me. I was desperate. My legs couldn't hold me and I fell to my knees." My friends picked me up and hugged me, telling me not to do such crazy things again. And I realized that all my problems can be overcome by solving them, not by running away cowardly, and that you shouldn't lie to the people closest to you. And since then, I've never lied to anyone again. Have you had failures that you'd like to forget about? Tell us in the comments. Like and share the video with your friends. Let as many people as possible see it. When I look at myself in the mirror, tears stream down my cheeks again. If I had been invited to star in the movie Beauty and the Beast, I would play the part of the Beast because I'm getting ugly as soon as the hands of the clock struck 10 o'clock at night. I laid down on my bed with my face pressed against the pillow and started crying. Hi, my name is Sandra, and I want to tell you how my beauty fades at night. I'm like the Princess Fiona from Shrek, who after sunset turns into a green monster. My skin color stays the same, but I get a lot of pimples on my face. I start to sweat a lot and my eyes turn red and my hair turned into this ridiculousness. It's a peculiarity I got from my grandmother on my mother's side. My mother herself is beautiful in day and night. I, on the other hand, am a loser whose only path in life is to star in a horror film. My mother told me that my grandmother was a witch. She lived in a small town where many people were afraid of her. She could easily put a curse on someone out of spite. But one day something went wrong, and the curse affected herself. Since then, at night, she looked like a real witch with warts and wrinkles and unruly hair. Mom, is it really true? I asked in horror when I first heard the story. It must be true. When I was born, she was already like that. The curse missed me, and it must have been passed on to you, dear. Doctors didn't find anything wrong with my skin. My transformation was a real mystery, and I was so affected by the story that I decided that I would never go out after 10 o'clock at night. I was one of the prettiest girls in school. 1 year ago, I even won 3rd place in the school beauty pageant. I had a lot of admirers, but I still didn't go on dates with them for fear that my ugliness might come out before its time. I didn't want to lose my reputation, so I decided to be a recluse and not go out at night. But as you can imagine, my lifelong plan went all right. It all started the day the most popular and beautiful girl in school decided to throw a party and invite me for the first time. I had been dreaming about it for years. Perhaps Courtney was kinder to me after I helped her out over the summer break. She was standing in the rain waiting for a limo, but her driver didn't show up for some reason. I couldn't leave Courtney behind, so I drove my classmate to her luxurious mansion. We even had a little talk on the way, and in that moment, I felt like a mega cool girl. When I got the invitation to our annual party, I completely forgot about the fact that I turned into a monster at night, and when I did, it was too late to decline the invitation. If you turned Courtney down for anything, she would make your high school life a living hell. One time, a girl refused Courtney's report for her. As a result, she first had to leave our school, and then she and her family had to leave the town, all right? I left before 10. I thought naively, but at 10 in the evening, the party was in full swing. I was the center of attention because Courtney was telling everyone how I helped her out. All the guys were passing by, and only Sandra cared. Courtney winked at me, and I just smiled coyly. And once again, I looked at my wristwatch. It was 10 to 10, and if I didn't run away, I would be forever disgraced. When I tried to sneak out, Courtney caught me. Where are you going? I have to go home to feed my dog. Is your dog more important than me and my big party? Courtney, I'm sorry, but are you trying to upset me? For a second, I thought she had devil horns and there was an evil glow in her eyes. And while I was dumbstruck, not knowing what to say, Courtney took my hand and led me back to the guys. And my transformation began. There were more pimples on my face from the excitement. My eyes weren't just red, they were bright red. There was also something new, disgusting breath and wrinkles on my forehead. Sandra, what's wrong with you? Some of the kids are asking in horror. Everyone's staring at me and I wanted to jump into the pool, never come out again. Freaks have no place in my party, Courtney exclaimed, squeamish, and asked the guards to escort me out. 2 big guys grabbed me under the arms and literally threw me out of the mansion gates. Do you think that was the worst thing that ever happened to me? I thought so too, until I woke up the next morning and looked in the mirror. Oh no, my ugliness didn't go anywhere. It stayed with me. I definitely can't show up to school looking like that, especially after yesterday. I managed to skip a few days of school and I hung out in the furthest part of the park all by myself because even the pigeons tried to stay away from me. All of this brought me to tears, But it didn't last long before my mom got a call from my homeroom teacher one night and was informed that I wasn't going to school. Mom, look at me and answer the question for yourself why I don't want to be there. Your looks are no reason to skip school. That's easy for you to say. You were the prettiest girl in class, I muttered and folded my arms across my chest. Sandra, you are going to school tomorrow. Of course, no one was going to be supportive or understanding. Thanks to Courtney's exaggerated stories, everyone avoided me and the most arrogant and stupid one smoked me. In an instant, I went from being a beautiful girl to a pathetic freak. Even the homeroom teacher didn't want to let me in at first because he simply didn't recognize me. My mom had to call him and explain everything, but he didn't even apologize to me. That's how appearance affects people's perception. However, soon my life changed again. Well, not my life, but Courtney's life. Our star was suddenly poured. It was immediately brought up at school, and Courtney's popularity waned. She had to wear secondhand clothes, eat homemade sandwiches, and hide in the backyard during recess because the kids she used to make fun of are now messing with her big time. The most popular girl in school that everyone wanted to be like and be friends with suddenly became a petty outcast. I couldn't even gloat about it because I felt sorry for Courtney. Even though she was the one who made sure everyone at school avoided me or pranked me, I still couldn't turn my back on Courtney. I'm so sorry, I said. I'm so sorry, I said as I sat next to her. Get away from me, she wrinkled her nose and said. I want to help you. I'd rather be an outcast than hang out with you. Have you seen yourself in the mirror? But after Courtney's brand name bag was dunked in the toilet, she decided to change her opinion of me. At that moment, I felt like a real star because the former high school queen had practically begged me on her knees to be friends with her. I decided to give her a chance. Courtney and I started hanging out every day. Although we weren't often allowed in public places because of my looks, I was expecting to hear words of comfort from Courtney, but she didn't say anything and pretended like nothing was going on. Meanwhile, she kept asking me to buy her things, cosmetics, clothes, or a fancy magazine. I couldn't refuse her, believing that Courtney would soon change and become a normal girl. I felt like she just didn't know how to be a friend, so I showed her some compassion. I supported her when she cried out about her past. I tried my best to cheer her up. I thought she would understand what real friendship is, but I was wrong again. Oh, what a naive fool I was after all. One day, Courtney and I arranged to feed the squirrels in the park. I waited for her for an hour, 2 hours. I managed to scare a little kid with my appearance and had to listen to his mother telling me that it was time to start looking after myself. But Courtney never showed up. She didn't even answer her phone. In the morning, I found out that her family managed to get their fortune back. And to celebrate, Courtney threw a huge party. Of course she didn't invite me. To Courtney, what the hell? Why did you do this to me? I snapped at her at school. What do you expect me to do with freaks? I thought we were friends. Me and you? Don't be ridiculous. I used you, but I don't need you anymore, like an iPhone 12. She left nastily and left with her friends who just a few days ago were saying mean things about her. I was so angry that I wanted to get back at Courtney, and I decided to get my looks in order. I went to several fortune tellers. I bought expensive makeup with my last bit of money, but nothing worked. My mother, seeing my efforts, was seriously concerned about my condition and decided to make an appointment with a psychologist. And he was the one who helped me. Sandra, your appearance is purely psychosomatic. Stop thinking about the fact that at 10 o'clock at night you will surely, because of a curse, turn into another person. That's it? I don't think that's going to help me. Yes, Sandra, the problem is only in your head. Your mind is very powerful. And indeed, ever since I was a child, I have been convinced of the curse. I was tormented by doubts for many days, struggling to overcome the insecurities within me. And this battle with my own mind was the hardest of my life. But it worked. With the help of a therapist, I started to believe in myself, and I stopped believing my mother's fairy tales about my grandmother, witch, and the curse. It helped me become the old Sandra, now even prettier. Without all the pimples, no excessive sweating, unruly hair, and all the rest, I was looking at myself in the mirror. I thought for sure I could outshine Courtney, and I was right. A lot of boys were looking at me instead of her. No amount of money could help her get their attention back, and I enjoyed my popularity. All that was left was to humiliate her properly and to destroy her once and for all. But just as I was coming up with a revenge plan on how to destroy Courtney's reputation, I suddenly changed my mind. You know, it was like Thor had hit me over the head with his hammer. Look at this situation from a different perspective, and I realized that I didn't want to stoop as low as Courtney. If I did, I wouldn't be any better than her. I backed off thinking that life would punish her anyways, and I was right because karma boomerang hit her right in the back of the head. When Courtney's parents went away on a business trip, she pissed off all the help in the house so much they started a riot. Courtney posted messages in her class chat asking for help to calm down the rampaging staff, but her friends only wanted to party. Eventually, Courtney got really mad. She told us all to beat it and that we'd come crawling back to her. She asked for my help too, but I didn't want to use that iPhone 12 again, which she would easily throw in the trash. And even in that situation, life had taught her nothing. Courtney continued to humiliate everyone at school and ignore me. I could only feel sorry for her because she was 4 on the inside and incredibly ugly. I realized that external flaws can be corrected, but internal ugliness is almost impossible to fix. And believe me, no pimples or wrinkles can compare to the defects of the soul. Do you think Courtney will be able to mend her ways and find friends in the future? Share your opinions in the comments, rate your like, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any new videos.